Question 1. Here is a shaded shape on centimetre grid. Find the area of the shape. The area is the number of squares inside a shape, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Find the perimeter of the shape. The perimeter is the number, if you count up around the outside, we do not count the squares, we count the sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. On the grid below, reflect the shape in the mirror line. You can use a mirror for this or use tracing paper, but it should just reflect out the other side. It should be there. Question 2. The bar chart shows the number of hours of sunshine each day last week in Skegness and in Blackpool. How many hours of sunshine did Skegness have on Wednesday? Well, Skegness is the grey bar, which is the bar that comes first. And on Wednesday is here, so if we look up, read off, that's 5 hours. Part B, Blackpool had 6 hours of sunshine on which day? So Blackpool is a lined one. So we go to 6 hours, go across, we can see that that is on Saturday. In total, Skegness had more hours of sunshine than Blackpool last week. How many more? Well, if we read off each bar for Skegness, so that would be 4, 6, 5, 2, 4, 7 and 6. Add those up, it gives me 34. You can use a calculator for that. And again, for Blackpool, read these off 5, 3, 4, 3, 4, 6 and 3. Add those up, that's 28. How many more hours? So we take those away from each other, that is 6. Question 3a, write 7/10 as a decimal. Well, the first decimal place is the tenths column, so it's just 0.7. Write 0.45 as a percentage. 0.45, that's going into the hundreds column, so that means 45 out of 100, which is 45%. Write 30% as a fraction, give it in the simplest form. Well, 30% means 30 out of 100, so that would be 1 mark, and then cancel that down to 3/10, that'd be 2 marks. Write 2.738, correct to 2 decimal places. 2 decimal places means we want 2 numbers after the decimal point, so 2.73. However, because there's an 8 after the 3, we would round the 3 up to a 4, so it's 2.74. Question 4, on the grid, draw a perpendicular line to AB. Perpendicular means at right angles, so you just need to draw it straight up and down. Doesn't matter where on there, just as long as it's straight up and down. In the space below, draw accurately a circle of radius 4 centimetres. For this one, you take your compass, you open it to 4 centimetres, using a ruler to measure that, and draw a full circle. Now it's really important you hold it by the top, there, and not like chopsticks, otherwise that'll move. You need to hold it by the top so you can rotate it round. Part C, on the grid below, draw an isosceles triangle. There are lots of different answers for this, but these 2 sides need to be the same length, so it needs to be symmetrical down the middle. So I've just done 2 across, then gone 1 across and 4 up for each. You've got to make sure that these 2 lines are the same. On the grid below, draw a quadrilateral with exactly 2 right angles. Again, there's a number of ways of drawing it in different orientations, but if we're just drawing 2 right angles to start with, to stop these being right angles, this needs to be on a slant. So we put a diagonal in there, and that's a trapezium. Question 5, here's some information about flower bulbs. What is the planting season for tulips? So we go to tulips, and the planting season would be winter. Sternbergia has the same planting season as one other flower bulb. Which bulb? So Sternbergia is here. The planting season is spring. The other one is the amaryllis. So amaryllis is the answer to part B. There is 1 of each of the 6 bulbs in the bag. Carol takes 1 at random. On the probability scale, mark with a cross probability of getting one that flowers in winter. So a flowering season of winter. So a flowering season, going down, none of them are in winter. So it's 0 out of the 6. So you put it at 0. What's the probability of it having a flowering season of autumn? Well, 1, 2, 3 have a flowering season of autumn. So 3 out of the 6 is the same as a half. Question 6. Alex has 5 lessons with Stan's driving school. Work out the total cost. Well, the first 2 lessons are £12.75 each. So 2 lots of £12.75 is £25.50. And then the remaining 3 lessons will be £20 each. So that'll be £60. Add those up, it's £85.50. Leah has some lessons with Stan's driving school, and the total cost is £305.50. Work out how many lessons Leah has. Well, first of all, if we take off the first 2 lessons, which were £25.50, and then that leaves us with £280, and then each lesson after that will be £20. So if we divide by 20, there will be another 14 lessons at £20 each. So these two at £25.50 and these 14 at £20 gives us 16 lessons altogether. Question 7. Here's a map of Great Britain. The map shows the temperatures in some cities at midnight on the 20th of January. Which city has the lowest temperature at midnight? So if we look at each of these, the lowest one is Newcastle with -6. In Brighton, the temperature rose by 5 degrees from midnight until midday on the next day. What is the temperature at midday the next day? Well, at Brighton, it was -2 at midnight. If we add 5 onto that, we get up to 3 degrees. At midnight on the 20th of January, the temperature in Nottingham was halfway between the temperature in Truro and Edinburgh. The temperature in Truro was 3 and Edinburgh was -5. So halfway between that, you can either count up in between, or the best way to do it is to add these together and half it. So 3 add -5 is like 3 take 5, which is -2. Half it is -1. Either way, you get the answer -1. Question 8. Write down the coordinates of the point C. So you go along the corridor and up the drive. So it's 5, 3. Write down the coordinates of the point AB. So the midpoint of AB. Well, I've drawn a line in between A and B. You can either do this by sight and you'll see that the midpoint is there at 2, 4. Or we could say that the difference between 1 and 3 is 2. And halfway between 5 and 3 is 4. So it'd be at 2, 4. On the grid, mark with a cross the point D. So that ABCD would be a square. So ABC so far is just that corner there. You can see the square is on a slant, but to keep it a square, we would need to go to that point there. So D is at 3, 1. Question 9. Amy is making a shelf unit for her DVDs. She needs 3 pieces of wood at 32 centimetres and 2 at 45 centimetres. Amy has a piece of wood that's 2 metres long, and she cuts the 5 pieces from that piece of wood. How much wood would she have left? So 3 lots of 32 is 96, 2 lots of 45 is 90, and if we add that up, that's 186 centimetres. 2 metres is the same as 200 centimetres, so if we take that away, we get 14 centimetres. The diagram shows the shelf unit. Amy will put DVDs on the 2 shelves as shown in the diagram. Each DVD has a width of 14 millimetres. What's the greatest number of DVDs? Well, we can see that the width of the shelf is 320. So 320 divided by 14 would be 22.85. The 0.85 means you can't fit that last 23rd DVD in. So that's just 22 DVDs. And on 2 shelves, 2 lots of 22 is 44. Question 10. Here is a number of goals scored by a football team on each of its first 10 games. Write down the mode. Mode is the one that occurs the most. So 1 occurs the most times. Work out the mean number of goals for the first 10 games. Well, if we add all these up, these will add up to 18. And there are 10 numbers altogether. So you do 18 divided by 10, which is 1.8. In the 11th game, the team scored 4 goals. On the 12th game, they scored 2 goals. Will the mean number of goals after 12 games be higher or lower than after 10 games? Well, the best way to explain this is to actually work it out. So in the first 10 games, they scored 18 goals. 4 goals in the 11th game and 2 goals in the 12th game. So altogether, that's 24 goals they scored out of 12 games. So 24 divided by 12 is 2. So the 2 extra games means it went up from 1.8 to 2, so it goes up. Question 11. Here are parts of 2 train timetables. James lives in Stamford. He's going to a meeting in York. James will travel by train from Stamford to Peterborough. He will then go from Peterborough to York. It will take him 30 minutes to walk from the train station to his meeting. And his meeting starts at 10 o'clock. Plan a schedule for his journey. Well, the first thing I did was to say if he needs to be at the meeting for 10, 30 minutes before that is 9:30. So he needs a train that gets to York before 9:30. So that is this train here. So the train that arrives in York is at 9:27. And that will get to his meeting for 9:57. That train leaves Peterborough at 7:58. So we can put that one in here, working backwards. To get to Peterborough for 7:58, we need to go along here and we'll find that this train here will get him there for 7:58. So the train arrives at 7:33 and that train sets off from Stamford at 7:19. So it needs to be at Stamford at 7:19, which will get him to Peterborough at 7:33. He can then catch the 7:58 train to York, which will arrive at 9:27. He's then got 30 minutes to get to his meeting. Question 12. Solve x minus 5 equals 17. The way to do this is to start with 17 and add 5, which gives us 22. Solve m over 3 equals 6. To do this, we start with 6 and we times by 3, which will give us 18, because 18 divided by 3 is 6. Solve 5y plus 7 equals 24. Well, if we start with 24 and take the 7 off, that gives us 17. So 5y is 17. So we then need to divide by 5. 17 over 5 is a fine answer to finish with for 2 marks. However, you could also convert that to a mixed number, which would be 3 2/5, and that is also a decimal 3.4. Question 13, make an accurate drawing of this triangle. Line AB is drawn for you. So here is 7 centimetres. We need to use a protractor to measure out the 35 degrees. So you put your protractor on like this, measure from 0 up to 35. And just a little bit out there actually. And then on that mark, we measure up 5.5 centimetres to there. And then we can join the last side in. Question 14. Here's a sequence of patterns made with counters. In the space below, draw the 4th pattern. Well, if you notice, we start with a cross, and then we add the extra cross on each time, using just the 4 counters there, 3 more on that one there. So if I draw the 3rd pattern, like that, up to there, so the 3rd pattern is just up to there, we then need to add on the extra cross by doing that. Complete the table. Well, it's going up by 4 each time, so 5, 9, 13, 17, 21. Find an expression in terms of n for the number of counters in pattern n. That means find the nth term rule. So because it's going up in 4s, it will be 4n. The 4n stands for the 4 times tables. Now, the 4 times table starts at 4. Our sequence starts at 5, so we need to add 1. Habib has 50 counters. He wants to use as many of his counters as possible to make a pattern in the sequence. What is the number of the pattern he can make with the greatest number of his counters? Well, to get as close to 50 as we can do 4 times 12, add 1, using the nth term rule. So 4 times 12 is 48, add 1 is 49. So the 12th pattern is the one we can make. Question 15. ABC is a straight line. BCD equals 38. And the reflex angle BDC is 250, as shown on the diagram. Work out the size of the angle marked X, given reasons. Well, the first one I worked out was angle CDB, which is this one here, is 360 minus 250. Because angles around a point add up to 360, which is 110. Because angles around a point add up to 360. After that, I can then work out angle DBC, which is this one here. So I can do that by using angles in a triangle add up to 180. So I'll just do 180, take away the 110, take away the 38. So this one is 32. Finally, I can use angles on a straight line add up to 180 to do 180, take off this 32 to get X is 148. 4 marks. Question 16, work out the value of that. Now, on your calculator, you will need to either put this first bit in brackets before you multiply, or you can press equals after you've done this first bit here. Otherwise, the calculator will multiply 14.44 by this and then square root it. Okay, we want to find the square root of that. So if we do that bit first, we press equals and then times by that, then you'll get the answer 89.3855. Question 17, 100 students each choose one activity. Each student is choosing either bowling, karting or ice skating. Complete the two-way table. Well, the first number I sorted was the number of girls. So there were 47 boys and 100 altogether, so that's 53 girls. From there, we could also work out that because there were 20 students did karting and 13 boys did it, there must be 7 girls. From there, I can work out that 7 out of 34 is 41, leaving 12 girls to do bowling out of the 53, leaving 14 boys to do the bowling out of the 26, and 20 boys to do the ice skating, giving a total of 54. So those are the numbers that should be in there. One of the boys is chosen at random. What's the probability the boy chose karting? Well, altogether there are 47 boys, and there were 13 boys chose karting, so the probability is 13 out of 47, written as a fraction. Question 18. Here is a rectangle. The 12-sided shape below is made from 4 of these rectangles. Work out its perimeter. Well, if we look at each shape in turn, the full length is intact, so that would be 10, and the width is intact, so that's 4. But we are taking this 4 off the perimeter of the shape. So this one here, from here to here, will just be 6. So each rectangle has a 10, a 4 and a 6 side showing. 10, 4 add 6 is 20, and there are 4 of these shapes, so 20 lots of 4 is 80. Or you can just add all of these up, which will give you 80. Question 19. There are 240 counters in a bag. The counters are green, yellow or blue. 3/5 of the counters are green and a quarter are yellow. Work out the number of blue. Well, to work out 3/5 of something, you do 240 divided by 5. That gives you 1/5. And times by 3. That gives you 144. And so that's the number of green counters. The number of yellow counters, to find a quarter, you just divide by 4, which gives you 60. So altogether that's 204 counters, meaning there must be 36 left for the blue ones. Question 20. Here are the ingredients to make 10 pancakes. Matthew makes 30 pancakes. Work out how much flour he uses. So we need to do, the amount of flour for 10 people is 120. We need to times that by 3, because we need 3 times as many. So that'll be 360 grams. Tora makes some pancakes and she uses 750 millilitres of milk. Work out how many pancakes she makes. Well, for 10 people we need 300 ml. So if we do 750 divided by 300, that's 2.5. So we're using 2.5 times as much. So if this makes enough for 10 people, then 2.5 times a minute is 25. Question 21. The scatter graph shows some information about 10 pine cones from the same tree. It shows the length and the width of each pine cone. Describe the relationship. Now that's different to saying what is the correlation. The relationship is, as the length increases, so does the width, because it's a positive correlation. They would actually accept positive correlation if you put that, but it's better to make sure you get the marks by doing it that way. Another pine cone of the tree has a length of 8.4 centimetres. Estimate its width. There are 2 marks for this. One for doing a line of best fit, and one for going in from 8.4 and reading off. On the mark scheme, it allows anywhere between 8.1 and 8.5. Sorry, 6.1 and 6.5. I got 6.3 using my line of best fit. Question 22. Margaret is on holiday in France. She buys an English newspaper at a cost of €5. In England, it would cost £2.50. The exchange rate is £1 is 1.16 euros. Work out the difference in the cost. Now, you can either convert the €5 into pounds by dividing by 1.16, or convert the £2.50 into euros by timesing by 1.16. I've done it that way. So £2.50 times 1.16 is €2.90. That means there's a difference of €2.10. So that's a perfectly fine answer. If you did it in pounds, you will get a difference of £1.81. Factorise 3x plus 6. Each of these has a factor of 3, so we pull 3 out. 3 times x is 3x and 3 times 2 is 6. Expand and simplify this. 5 times y is 5y. 5 times minus 2 is minus 10. 2 times y is 2y. And 2 times minus 3 is minus 6. 5y add 2y is 7y. And minus 10 take away 6 is minus 16. There's 1 mark for each term. Question 24. The table gives some information about student attendance at a school on a Friday. The school has a target of 94% of students present each day. Did the school meet the target? Well, if we add up how many students there are altogether, so add all these up, we get 1,210. If we add up how many pupils were present, that was 1,092. And to do the percentage, you do 1,092 divided by 1,210 times 100, which gives you 90.24%. So no, the attendance target was not met. It's an asterisk question, so there is a mark for this sentence at the end. Question 25. On the grid, draw the graph of y equals 2x minus 3 from minus 2 to 3. So if we draw a table from minus 2 to 3 and substitute these values in, I always actually start at the positive end. So 2 times 3 is 6, take away 3 is 3. 2 times 2 is 4, take away 3 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2, take away 3 is minus 1. 2 lots of 0 is minus 3. 2 lots of 0 is 0, take away 3 is minus 3. 2 lots of minus 1 is minus 2, take away 3 is minus 5. 2 lots of minus 2 is minus 4, take away 3 is minus 7. You can see this is going down by 2 each time. If we put our grid, draw axes, it must go from 4 down to -7 on the y-axis, and from 3 to -2 on the x-axis. Plot each point at -2, -7, -1, -5, 0, -3, 1, -1, 2, 1, and 3, 3, and plot it with a straight line. If you do not get a straight line, it's gone wrong. Question 26. Safia is organising a conference. People at the conference will sit at a circular table. The tables are 140 centimetres in diameter. Each person needs 60 centimetres around the circumference of the table. There are 12 of these tables and a total of 90 people coming. Are there enough tables? Well, to work out the circumference, we do pi times the diameter. Pi times 140 is 439.8. Each person needs 60 centimetres, so if we divide that by 60, that means 7.3 people can sit around the table. So obviously we can only have 7 people around the table. 12 times 7 is 84 because there are 12 tables. 7 people per table is 84. So no, there is not enough space. There is a mark for that last sentence. No, there's not enough space.